Hiya Virgos, and welcome to my channel. This is going to be the October love reading for 2017. So, Virgos, the reading is starting now. First card that popped out for you was the Wild Hunt card in reverse. So I feel like this is speaking of a resistance to budge or change your ways. You may even be deceiving yourself. And I say that because you've got this card paired up with the Nine of Cups in reverse, and then the High Priestess card in reverse, the High Priest, sorry, or the Hierophant card in reverse. And this card, the Wild Hunt, is the Tower card in traditional deck. I absolutely love the artwork of the Nine of Chalice here. It's so brilliant. But you received it in reverse. Now, instead of seeing what each card is individually, I feel like altogether, what this is saying is resistance to budge or change your ways, possibly lying even to yourself. Someone may be coming or trying to shake things up and introduce you to new things, but you may be too self-centered and you may be stuck in the past and a reoccurring image of how things were for some of you. And I asked that because you got the Six of Chalices, which I asked for a clarifying card. After all these three came out together, I needed a clarifying card, and the Six of Chalices came up. So, but I feel like the message is saying like endings come in many different forms, and now is the time to stop holding on to what must die. And you also may be stuck on an upset or a hurt or a wish that wasn't fulfilled. And then for others of you, some of you may be reluctant to conform to society standards of tradition or how one should live or how one should be in a relationship. And how I feel like your person of interest or your lover feels, you've got the um, Seven of Chalices in reverse. I absolutely love this card as well. The artwork here. Now, this card speaks of having many choices, many options, but the key or the vital thing or the vital message here is that though everything is basically everything that glitters is not gold. This card is very mercurial, where you always want to try something new. You always think that the grass is always green on the other side, but that's not always rightfully so. And in this card, especially in this deck, and the meaning incorporated in this deck is that you need to focus, that they need to focus on exactly what it is that they want, listening to their heart, listen to their intellect and their mind, so that their intuition and everything can all be intertwined and they make the right choice. Because I feel like there's like wolf in sheep's clothing with a lot of these cups here. There's only one cup that actually serves them best. So, but and then this, normally traditionally, what this card means in reverse is kind of like narrowing the focus. But it can also mean, and what the message even more highlights in this card is more so delusionals and possibly wanting to be naive and have the cake and eat it too. So what I feel like for this coming up in your love interest section, Virgos, I feel like it's saying that they either want you to stop being delusional or them themselves to stop being delusional and naive, and to possibly want to have the cake and eat it too, or possibly want so much that is not possible and is impractical. They may want you to choose, or they may want to choose and set their sights firmly on them, for those of you who are juggling many people, or they may be the jugglers of many people. And for others, I feel like they simply want you to stop daydreaming of selling false promises or getting distracted. Okay, or this could be their energy. They may be false promising and getting distracted, or like having too much of wishful thinking. But there needs to be a feeling or a groundedness of wanting to get real of what the actual prospects potentially are for this union. And what the relationship wants or what is happening. You've got the Earth Mother in reverse, or the Empress. She's pregnant in this deck. It can mean a pregnancy or a birth or children involved, and maybe that was the presence of this Six of Chalices here. Maybe there are some hiccups on how to raise children. Maybe you have different beliefs, different belief systems on how a child should be raised. One of you may be stern and set in your beliefs. So you've got the Earth Mother in reverse. Then you've got the Six of Amethyst in reverse. So like a reluctance or an not being able to move on to better times is like kind of circling, making a circle in turbulent waters and not being able to go smooth sailing across the oceans. It's like still some turbulence going on. And then you've got the Three of Chalice. Chalices are the water signs, Capricorn, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, Virgins. So what I feel like all these three coming up in what the relationship wants is, I feel like the focus needs to be on the focus is on feeling underappreciated. Perhaps one or the other you have too many social obligations and one feels neglected. Some of you may be separated by water and are unable to tend or mend the relationship because of travel and location plans being a culprit. And you may not be able to physically touch one another and spend time, so the relationship wants, and I feel like the relationship just wants you to realize its potential or realize the lack thereof. Um, if there's children involved, I feel like affection may be needed, and and if someone is actually pregnant, they may have to like restrain from pregnancy, restrain from um, outings and partyings and stuff like that, so that you can have they may need to rest up and not be able to be on the go and socialize with you. That may be the case for some of you who have someone who's pregnant if you aren't the pregnant one. And then for some of you, I feel like you may be dealing with someone who has an overindulgence problem. Or it could be you that is the one that's overindulging. What your subconscious really wants, I feel like you really want to win. This is the battle wagon. So you want to win. You want to feel like you're moving in the right path. You want to feel like things are working in your favor. You want victory. You want success, possibly financial success. You want a business partner that you can work with as well. That's what you subconsciously really want, Virgo. And what your partner subconsciously wants, I feel like they really want to agree or disagree in who sees who and when. I feel like they really want to juggle, or this is your focus, but they're focusing so much on how you're acting. But this can mean that they really want to be able to juggle a thriving career and their own personal lives with the relationship, as well as also um, there may be arguments and explosive exchanges where you feel like you can't call a truce and where compromise has not been reached. And I feel like where this comes from is from the need to on how to effectively distribute or how to keep the spark alive with interesting things to do together. That's where their subconscious lies. Where the relationship subconscious is, the relationship just wants harmony, just wants you to be like a happy family with the Ten of Chalices here, which is support system, which is bliss, which is getting along, which is like literally like this with picnics in the park. Just feeling like you have a support system behind your back, or that you have and all like your emotions are being met and your emotions are being fulfilled all the way down to the child as well. That's what the subconscious of the relationship is. What you need to do, Virgins, what you need to focus on is the wheel of the year. You need to focus on the cycles of life and to kind of accept that if things are not working right now, just know that they can just be temporary, and then like next month things will possibly flow in a more better um way. Or this can also mean for you, if it doesn't work out in the relationship, that just take heed that this is fate and this is destiny, and that everything happens for a reason, and then this is the cycle and the flow of life, and there's nothing that you can do to stop the wheel of the year or the wheel of time, because time is going to keep moving on. um, what your partner really needs. I feel like they almost feel like they need to be dogmatic, or they need to release this feeling. That one or the other. The King of Wands here in reverse. The Wands is Aries, Sagittarius, and Leos. When they have like, they're very fiery, very passionate, very aggressive, very hard to ignore, and very charismatic. But in reverse, can be quite tyrannical, very dogmatic and overly critical, very strict on their views and stands, very austere, and I feel like they feel a need. They are pulling back on the relationship. They are pulling back. There's not. They feel like then they need to pull back. To postponing decisions and stagnations. There's like not really much action, because this card is like action, the beginning, the start of action and imagining. And then we feel like their imagining is stifled, or something is stifled and blocked or suppressed. Because then you will receive the Lady and the Lord, which is two peas in a pod, which is a beautiful union in reverse. So that's like indecision. There's uncompromised. There's blockages. Right? I feel like they see dilemma and they're indecisive about something. And what the relationship needs, you've got the Four of Chalices in this situation, or the Four of Cups. So someone is not seeing what is offered, what is around their midst, what's in their aura, what's in their midst, what's in their grasp. They are being kind of unreliable and not unreliable. They're being like unappreciative. They're not really grasping all the opportunities that are around them, choosing to kind of stay in this like self kind of um, self-esteem issues, insecurity, imprudence. There's apathy and ungratefulness and an unwillingness to see what is before you. So the relationship needs to focus on those kind of aspects. And the Nine of Pentacles, self-esteem issues, indecisive. And what you actually get out of this relationship, you actually get a chance to move on. Whether this is to move on to a better stage in the relationship, or to move on to following a dream that will actually bring you this Nine of Cups and upright, and where you will actually get a wish fulfilled, because maybe this relationship isn't possibly fulfilling you. Or you guys will reach a certain stage in the relationship where you realize you can't do this anymore. It's time to move on to better times ahead. It's time to follow dreams. It's time to follow the whims and to moving on to greener pastures and moving in motion with the universe. What your partner actually gets, I feel like they will get, we've got the Page of Wands here, so I feel like they will eventually get some action. There will be a new passion, new starts. Then you've got the Three of Wands card here. So they may actually start this action that they may actually partake in. They may actually start looking elsewhere. That may be what the presence of these two together mean. Because the Three of Wands speaks of it can mean waiting for something, waiting for your ships to happen, or it can also mean teaming up with the right people, getting involved in the right projects, and it's like a group effort, a group work. So they may end the three here, and this is the love reading. So it mean that a three came up in the love reading. It can mean that they may be starting to look elsewhere, starting to get action or passion elsewhere if they feel like this relationship is blocked or holding on for some reason. What the relationship actually gets is a stagnant of energy, is blockage, because you've got the green man or the fool card in reverse, which can mean recklessness or inaction. And then you've got the Eight of Wands card in reverse as well, which means a break in engagement or the communication is lessened. So there may be a new start, and there may be a new start with someone else at the end of this overall reading. Maybe a new start with someone else for both of you. And then what actually was at the card that was at the bottom of the deck, at the core of the reading, you got the Six of Wands in reverse. Now the Six of Wands up right often speaks of like public acclaim, getting recognition, people realizing your talent or realizing your skills. But in reverse, it's kind of the opposite of that. You don't feel like you get recognition, or victory is lost, or feeling depleted, or feeling like people are not understanding you. Maybe there's a real focusing on too much on what other people think and what the world thinks about this relationship instead of what you and your partner or your love interest feel. Or maybe you're trying too hard, or you or they are trying too hard to be on top or to be the boss, and then both of you end up losing in the end. And then, thank you, Virgo. That is your reading. I hope that it resonates, and I'm going to read some oracle cards for you. Um, Two oracle cards here that you have are the Bright Mother in reverse. Heck is the book. The Bright Mother in reverse. These ideas, like the ones mentioned on page 83, apply to men as well as women. They can apply to institutions such as churches, governments, business, charities, and social groups. When we are blocking the Bright Mother's energy in our lives, we have difficulty giving or receiving nurturing. This may manifest itself physically as well as emotionally. It could mean physical problems such as digestive or eating disorders, or emotional difficulties with giving care or receiving care from others. We may also be unclear about our emotional boundaries. When her energy is twisted, we see the smother mother who refuses to let those within her care grow up and become independent, crippling them in their adult life. Or perhaps the warped energy becomes the martyr mother who sacrifices everything for you, whether you want it or not, and then expects you to sacrifice everything for her forever. If we find that in ourselves tendencies to do these things, we need to change both our habits and our deep programming, which may require professional help. At worst, the Bright Mother's energy becomes a fire of destruction, creating burnout where there should be nurturing. This happens when we give until we are exhausted and don't take time to nurture ourselves or allow others to do so. Rage or cruelty directed at those who rightfully depend upon us also falls into this extreme category. And then you received Tavera of the Waters. She came up in reverse as well. This is the fairy oracle. Okay. Tavera of the Waters in reverse speaks of this can indicate emotional needs not being met or thirst of the spirit of emotions. Or in another hand, it can remind us that fairy spells on waters can be mischievous, causing confusion, muddled memory, and irritability in humans. Perhaps a cold shower is in order here. Certainly, it is time for cooling off, calming down, and quieting the waters of our emotions before we take any action. Now, let's get messages from the medicine cards from the Native American medicine. Spirit, what is the message in this reading? What is the message in this reading? Dragonfly, number 27, upright. Illusion. Dragonfly medicine. Dragon breaks illusions, breaks visions of power. No need to prove it. Now is the hour. Know it, believe it. Great Spirit intercedes, feeding you, blessing you, filling all your needs. Illusion. Dragon medicine is the dream time of the illusionary facade we accept as physical reality. The iridescence of dragonflies' wings reminds us of colors not found in our everyday experience. Dragonflies' shifting of color, energy, form, and movement explodes in the mind of the observer, bringing vague memories of a time or place where magic reigned. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change, the messages of wisdom and enlightenment, and the communications from the elemental world. This elemental world is made up of tiny spirits of plants and the elements of air, earth, fire, and water in essence. This world is full of nature spirit. If dragonfly has flown into your cards today, you may have forgotten to water your plants. On another level, you may need to give thanks to the food you eat for sustaining your body. On a psychological level, it may be time to break down the illusions you have held that restrict your actions or ideas. Back up to what I was saying initially. Dragonfly medicine always beckons you to seek out the parts of your habits which you need to change. Remember, this card came up in reverse. Have you put on too much weight, or have you started to look like a scarecrow? Have you tended to the changes you have wanted to make in your life? If you feel the need for change, call on Dragonfly to guide you through the mist of illusion to the pathway of transformation. See how you can apply the art of illusion to your present situation, question, and remember that things are never completely as they seem. Thank you very much, Virgos. I hope that this reading resonated with you all. Let's get one more message for Virgo in this reading, Spirit. Playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit to shine. And then at the bottom, free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. Thank you, guys, and subscribe if you haven't. Peace.